So, what do you do when you are confronted by a James Bond fanatic or a relative or friend of a James Bond fanatic who has read all of Ian Fleming's books? Are you in trouble? Well, you're not really, because if they want to continue their obsession, there's other stuff out there. Now, of course, everybody knows it's become a big industry, even if you're something like William Boyd or Anthony Horowitz or Sebastian Faulks, to write a James Bond novel, the guilty pleasure of the literati. But there is something more authentic and better than those books that you can go for, something which was out of print for a very, very long time. And that is the first official sequel to the Bond series by another hand. And it is this book, Colonel's Son, by Robert Markham. This is my copy from way back when. As you see, it's got a very politically incorrect livery with a lady on the top of a large gun. And of course, we all know what that means. Very, very, very subtle indeed. And of course, it's Triad Panther, which is Granada, which became Grafton. Surprise, surprise, my Grafton obsession continues. I'm just going to have a quick look at the date inside to see when I actually bought it. Let's have a look. 1978. This was a reprint, reissued in 77. So I was 14, 15 at that time. And I was reading the Bond novels and collecting them in this livery. And I'll tell you why this is going to go over in a minute. I just want to digress in the Corbett-esque manner about this livery. And I had all of these. One of them was really hard to get, and I think it was For Your Eyes Only, maybe. And I couldn't get it for years. And then a wonderful girl I was going out with called Paula. Hi, Paula, if you're out there. She managed to pick one up for me at a second-hand bookshop in Porthcawl, which was great. Probably the best thing that came out of our relationship for her and for me, really. It's sort of my fault, I can say. But this was another example. There's one by Fleming. There we go. From Russia with Love. One of my favourite Bond novels. The early ones, I think, tend to be the best. That's a really great one. So that's what they look like. They're probably quite collectible. You probably need to head over to my mate Jules Burt, his channel. Jules is a mad collector of all sorts of stuff. A lovely guy, we worked together years ago. So if you want to sort of look at things with series collecting, he's really a man to go for. But anyway, going back to what you can do for the Bond fanatic, is you can recommend them this, because Robert Markham was a pseudonym for Kingsley Amis, who was a great apologist for the Bond novels with their mix of casual sadism, sexism, imperialism, and all that bad stuff that the people secretly knew and loved, and quite openly knew and loved back then. Now it's secret, of course. And the great news is that this came back into print a few years ago in vintage. I'm not going to show you the vintage editions. I don't have it because it's got a horrible cover. Because Vintage make no effort. That's Vintage UK, of course. They make no real effort with their covers as far as I'm concerned. They kind of throw them together, even though they've got amazing lists. You know, they're a great publisher. They're part of Random House, they would have. But you can't really argue with the quality of the list. But I really think they let the side down on their reissue covers. They're quite poor. I mean, as this is, you know, as un-PC as it is, it's a really beautiful little book. A format, of course. So Kingsley Amis wrote this. And it's a direct sequel to The Man with the Golden Gun. Now, The Man with the Golden Gun was the final Bond novel by Ian Fleming, but before he finished it, he kicked the bucket, and old Kingsley stepped up and stitched it together and finished it off. And this is a direct sequel. And the great thing about this is that you cannot tell that this isn't written by Fleming. Obviously, Kingsley Amis was an old school guy, maybe same ballpark as Fleming, same sort of vices, except because you know he wasn't somebody who ever engaged in the sort of secret service daring do which Fleming did a little bit of back in the war, because Amis was younger. But Amis is a great writer, of course, great stylist, and not quite as exciting as the most exciting Fleming books, but certainly as exciting as the less exciting Fleming books. And as I say, it's a direct sequel. It's really good. There's only one part where I could tell that it wasn't written by Fleming. And when Bond gets it on with the heroine, it's set in Greece, by the way, there's a very brief mention and description of her pubic hair. Shocking, I know. And that's something that Fleming, being an old school gentleman, would never have done. And Kingsley, being a naughty boy, of course, did. So that's the only time you could tell. But it's a fantastic read if you like Bond. Great villain in it, an Oriental villain, so partly Yellow Peril. So again, it ticks all the NPC boxes for people who like this sort of thing. And I love the first edition of it. The first edition was published by Cape. It's got this wonderful surrealist cover, like a Dali painting. It's amazing. And I've seen it a few times, never seen one in really good nick, never got around to buying it, and it's really expensive now. So I dropped the ball there, I guess. So if I ever see a mint one and I've got a spare few £100, which I won't have, I would pick it up. So Colonel Sun, recommend that to your Bond obsessed friend, and they'll be a happy camper. This is Outlaw Bookseller signing off with a handy recommendation there. Thank you.